We are going to the dump today. Yes, that's right, the dump.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
This is where you get rid of all your waste and feed the fill. But what about all the waste that doesn't go into the fill? Yes, today we're talking about the kind of waste that you recycle, most commonly found in the form of empties. Yes, that's right. We're discussing the eponymous Empties Day. Now, before I show you this ad that I got on my social media feed, I need to give you a little bit of backstory. I consider myself a fairly contributing citizen. I mean, I do my part. I recycle my cans and bottles whenever I get the chance. And I guess my algorithm took note of that because I've recently been receiving these adverts. And I think let's just go ahead and take a watch. And afterwards, I'll explain to you exactly what's going on here. Okay, so we start off, we've got a very handsome waste worker here standing, looking dapper. So let's see what he has to say.
Keep all of your empties.
Whoa.
Because you can bring them to us.
I will. I'd love to.
On Empties Day.
When? I need to know. This is amazing.
And donate your 10-cent refund to charity.
Wait, what?
Every empty counts. My bad.
Wow. Empties Day. 28th of January. What an exciting day to look forward to. Now, at first glance, you may think, Dan, why the heck are you showing me some random charity ad that you got on social media? Well, I want to show it to you because I couldn't get it off my mind. There was something that was sticking with me about this ad, something that felt a little bit off. And folks, I had to get to the bottom of it. So the first question you might have is, what is Containers for Change? This is the initiative that is advertising this Empties Day. Now, Containers for Change, the best I can describe it, is a government scheme that essentially facilitates the ability of a not-for-profit recycling company to give people 10 cents for every bottle or can that they hand in to an eligible recycling point. As you can see here, save your 10-cent containers, bring them to us, and then earn a refund or donate. Now, this scheme, if you ask me, is actually pretty interesting. Basically, our state, WA, yes, the best state in the world, has actually introduced this scheme, which it basically puts the onus onto the beverage companies to have to pay a certain amount per can that is recycled by a not-for-profit recycling company that we're going to get to later. And all of the money they make from the beverage suppliers, from that, they are able to give each individual consumer 10 cents for every bottle or can that they return to a Containers for Change recycling point. Right off the bat, I want it to be known, I think this is cool. I like this initiative. I think it's a good government scheme. I think it's a great way to incentivize people to recycle. I think it puts something in recycling for the rest of us to actually get out of it. It means we can go make a little bit of money, get a little bit of kickback. And I think ultimately most of the economic incentives are in the right direction when it comes to Containers for Change and the way it works. However, after getting this ad quite a lot on my social media and being pushed pretty heavily with this idea of donating my refundable containers to charity, I got suspicious and a little bit curious. This led me down a pretty deep rabbit hole and led me on a quest to find out everything I could about Containers for Change and figure out what the hell is going on. So first of all, we need to understand the economics of this scheme. How does it actually work? And to find this out, we can go to the frequently asked questions section of Containers for Change. My question is, how do Containers for Change work? Let's find the answers. And right here, the first question that I think is worth answering, who operates Containers for Change? The company responsible for Containers for Change in WA is WARRRL. WARRRL. That's it's a very catchy name, guys. Good job. Okay, here we get to a more important question. Who funds Containers for Change? That's what I want to know. Containers for Change is a product stewardship scheme. Now, beside being hard to say, that basically is I can't really explain this particular phrase because it's still just an odd pairing of words to me. But what I do understand is that beverage companies are the ones who pay for the 10 cents and the operating costs. And not just that, we know exactly how much they pay. So here we have an article that reads, WA Containers for Change announces scheme pricing. This was from the 17th of February 2020, and it lays out all of the prices that the different beverage suppliers have to deal with when it comes specifically to Containers for Change. As you can see here, aluminum. Aluminium, I meant to say, 11.39 cents. Glass, 11.84 cents. HDPE, 11.85 cents. Basically, the weighted average is, if you include GST, it comes down to 12.82 cents as the average amount of money that WARRRL makes every time they sell a container back to the beverage company. Basically, if you're following, the not-for-profit WARRRL company collects your containers and sells them back to the beverage company, or the beverage company gets charged for each container that they collect at a rate of 12.82 cents per container, not necessarily the 10 cents that they pay you. They're pocketing that 2.8 cents at each transaction, and that is how they make their revenue. That's how they make money to continue to run as an organization. And I gotta say, this information was only available because I sort of scoured the internet and found it. The Queensland Containers for Change website actually has the prices listed on their website, so that's a fat L for WA. I'm sorry. You know, Queensland, they got us beaten on this one, buddy. There is one other thing I wanted to point out about the Queensland Containers for Change, and it's worth noting that each state has their own Containers for Change scheme, so they're allowed to do it a little bit differently. I think Queensland has done a few things that to me seem a little bit more open and responsive to the will of the people. One thing I find interesting is that there is this article I found stating that their CDS scheme was in fact leading to a little bit of a price increase in beverage products, and for that reason, they actually lowered the prices they were charging the beverage manufacturers. And I'm bringing this up just to play devil's advocate so that it's clear that there is a possibility that the consumer is just paying for this on the back end anyway, that the initial cost of the beverages have gone up to compensate for this CDS scheme, and we're not necessarily saving as much money as we're being advertised. Okay, who is this WARRRL? And what do they have going on? Well, as you can see here is the Who Are We page of their not-for-profit website. And I do want to make a point. Anyone who's worked for a not-for-profit can tell you that not-for-profits are still a little bit concerned with profit, or at least revenue. You know what I mean? They are concerned with the money coming in and out. That's just the basis of a non-government funded business or organization. So we can see here, you know, sustainable opportunities, inclusivity, you know, it's fantastic. Then we've got the board members, you know, there's a lot of people working here. It's a very above board company, so to speak. And then we have a lot of different, wait. Okay, hold on. This guy's name is Tony Scaglione. That's like a crappy Sopranos character name. Tony Scaglione? Wow. And this is pretty interesting. Look, Tony is a logistics, manufacturing, and inventory supply specialist with over 15 years experience managing warehouse inventory, delivery, and production of beverage products. This guy came from the beverage industry. Tony, you're not supposed to do that. Also, interesting thing worth noting, I was looking around the websites, and here on the WARRRL board, we have this fella over here, Ashley Shalea. And once again, on the Queensland Containers for Change board, we see Ashley Shalea. What does this guy, what do you know, buddy boy? I know you've got something to hide, pal. You ain't getting nothing by me. But before we get too ahead of our skis, I want to go back to the ad because I really want to focus on what frustrated me about this advert. So this part particularly piqued my attention.
My bad.
Okay, so did you miss it? Let's go over it again. In partnership with Coles. Now, it might just be my Gen Z inner Marxist coming out, but whenever I see a partnership with a big, scary corporation, it doesn't always sit very well with me. And it also interested me because I couldn't actually find out what this partnership was about. You know, at first I thought, oh, is Coles got something to do with the charity drive? Are they putting money towards this thing? I don't understand, you know. And when I look on the WARRRL website page, all I could find in the industry partner section was, frankly, nothing about Coles. It was all their internal processes. But luckily, my internet sleuthing paid off because I found this article from Campaign Brief about the brand agency bringing back Empties Day for a Containers for Change partnership with Coles. Very interesting article. So this article describes the main character of the ad as Empties Dave. Empties Dave. Yes, Empties Dave is being helped out by Coles via in-store promotional materials during the December giveaway. Additionally, over 4,000 container for change bags will be available from Coles supermarkets. So that seems to at least be the extent. We got a absolutely iconic screenshot of Empties Dave getting wet as a pet over here. And they also go on to emphasize how many containers there are in circulation and how much potential money people can make on this Empties Day. Obviously, money that will simply go straight to charity. Now, I don't know if WARRRL needs to have this Coles partnership or if they're in need of some kind of promotion in store. But one thing I always like to do whenever somebody is partnering with a big company, just to cover your ass, I think it's a very easy process to go ahead and Google this simple phrase. Insert company plus controversies. In this case, we're looking for Coles controversies. And lucky for Coles, the first two things that come up are not that bad. We've got a controversy as Coles supermarket removes checkout operators from a popular store from 7-Life. You know, that's totally, it's suburban. You know, we love that. Coles supermarket responds to claims of cultural insensitivity over new Indian cuisine. It looks like they've added samosas that look very basic, I guess. But alas, the third article that I stumbled upon is one that, in my opinion, should have given WARRRL a little bit of pause when partnering with Coles. Yes, this article is from the end of 2021, and let's take a read. Coles accused of underpaying more than 7,500 workers by $115 million. Okay, that's a lot. See, this stuff is just crazy to me because, like, if any other person or even entity was involved with like petty theft or crime or like jewelry theft that was worth even a fraction of 115 million, you know, you can't get that stench off of you in your professional career. Whereas Coles are able to underpay their own workforce, the people that make their business run, by over $100 million, and nobody cares. There's no backlash for working with Coles. There's no controversy over whether or not Coles gets to sponsor the WARRRL Empties Day event. It's just business as usual, underpaying workers by over $100 million. It's capitalism, guys. How things are supposed to work. Chill out. And I do want to point out that Coles is embroiled in controversies that don't just include wage theft. In fact, they have been at the center of a lot of concerns that ordinary people have about the cost of their supermarket trolley shop. As we can see here, a headline reading, "Price of Shoppers' Supermarket Basket Proves Australia Has a Serious Problem." This is an article about the cost of living crisis and the rising grocery store costs that people are facing. And here's another article from ABC News, "Coles profits edge up, but inflation hurts consumers." Yeah, folks, that's about right. Coles makes a little bit of profit while everyone's suffering from inflation. And look, if you're worried about Coles, don't be. It says here, Coles recorded a 4.3% increase in profit to $1.05 billion. Baby, they got it sorted. They ain't worrying about nothing. All right, but enough about Coles. They're a garbage wage-stealing company. And in the meantime, we're going to go back to the dump.
Oh, well, back to the dump.
Yes, let's revisit the Containers for Change advert, because you might be wondering, Dan, what is your problem with this advert? You've explained to us that you hate Coles and you're a massive Marxist, but what do you have wrong with this advert? It's charity, Dan, for goodness sake. Well, let's take a look. It's Empties Dave.
Empties Day, January 29th.
Okay, I thought it was 28th.
Yes. It's the day you can bring in all your containers that you've saved up over the summer.
Right.
And donate your 10-cent refund to charity.
Okay. That's... Wait a minute.
This bag's actually really light. I was just acting.
Oh, Empties Dave. Empties Dave, you've done it again. So for the eagle-eyed among us, you may have noticed that this advert is in fact from the year prior. You see, this was released 11 months ago. They did the same thing 2 years in a row. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out right here at the start of the ad. Oh, what is this over here? Is this somebody's head poking into the shot? How could you? Oh, come on, guys. You can't let a head poke into the shot of your TV ad, guys. This is unprofessional. Oh, no. Flipping amateur hour over here, guys. Jeez. And what do you know? Once again, there's a handy dandy campaign brief website dedicated to explaining that the brand agency creates WA's first ever Empties Day for Containers for Change. Now, it's become pretty clear to me in the research of this video that this company, the brand agency, is who's behind pretty much all of WARRRL's advertising and marketing. See, they came up with this Empties Day idea. This is their marketing campaign. This is basically just an advert idea, right? And we're going to explain a little bit later, in my opinion, what I think the cynicism of using this as an advertising tactic is. But before we do that, I do want to give this company a little bit of praise. This is an advert that they did that I think personally is actually pretty cute, and we're going to take a look.
When you throw your drink containers away, banishing them to the world of landfill, you're feeding the monster.
You know, it's cute, right?
Give your containers the second life they deserve, and the third and the fourth again and again.
We've got a little
when you
girl
recycle with
mascot.
Containers for Change, you save your containers from
community.
landfill. Be the change. Don't feed the fill.
I think that's a great ad, okay? And I think that that ad is actually a really good way of bringing the community together, encouraging people to recycle and do the right thing, and just generally be eco-friendly and do it all whilst being a part of a community. I think that is a good message to send, and I think that is a good thing for us to have as part of our society. And as we can see here from this website, I can confirm that the Don't Feed the Fill adverts were also made by the brand agency. So I really don't want to dump all of my criticism just on them, because I think they've done some good work for the Containers for Change scheme. But you see, it's worth noting that while WARRRL is a non-profit organization, the brand agency is not. The brand agency is, in fact, owned by WPP-ANZ. Now, what is WPP? It is, in fact, a multinational, pretty much conglomerate that has like a huge amount of operations going on around the world. It's basically a massive corporation. Just what I love, eh? Christ. And the funny thing is too, it's definitely, you know, from the website, you get this like nameless, faceless corporate vibe. You know, there's no images of anyone who works for the company. Any image of a human being is obviously just stock images. They have, you know, classic stuff about like climate change, a cadetship program, an Australia acknowledgement, of course. And then one thing I thought was really weird at the bottom in this useful links area, they have all this like privacy policy, terms and conditions, and then they just have Modern Slavery Act statement. It's so random. And it's like, you know, I definitely didn't think that you as a company took part in any kind of slavery activities before, but now, you know, you guys are seeming pretty much like, you know, slave owners, if you ask me. Like, what is this statement? Like, sorry for all the slaves we owned? You know what I mean? Like, why do you have to have the statement right there? That's a bad omen, if you ask me. Perhaps one of the reasons it's so hard to put a face to the name of WPP is because this man, Martin Sorrell, is actually the British founder of WPP, who left the company in 2021, I believe, or 2020, around there. This was after an investigation into his personal conduct and use of company money. Never sounds very good. One employee who worked for Martin said it was like being in an abusive relationship, which is pretty rough. In other quotes, the workplace was described as a toxic environment and there was a culture of fear. She said everyone threw everyone else under the bus to not look bad in his eyes. Now, the his that they're talking about is this man, Sir Martin. They call him Sir Martin throughout the whole article because apparently he was knighted once, and that means you're a sir for life. But if you ask me, this guy is a Sir Arsehole. And as we can see here on his Wikipedia page, we do have proof. Sir Martin Sorrell is a British businessman and the founder of WPP PLC. So I think I understand why this website is so, you know, nameless and faceless. It's basically because if there was a face on it, it would probably be shouting at you or sexually harassing you. So actually, it's probably a good thing. Okay, but I do want to finally explain what is my problem with all of this charitable donation. Now, getting back to the main topic, I'm going to explain to you why I really just did not like this ad and why I'm making this video. You see, here is the Containers for Change donation page where they basically explain how they go about using charities in the operation of their business. And essentially what it explains here is that when you donate to a charity through Containers for Change, you nominate a member ID. You nominate a place for them to send the money to the charity on your behalf. Basically what's happening is you're not actually donating to charity at all. You're telling Containers for Change, here's the charity ID I'd like you to donate. And instead of giving you your refund, they're basically just giving that same 10-cent refund to the charity. They're the one donating to that charity. And part of the reason I wanted to show you their page is because there's a little bit of sort of interesting information here. They've got a whole page about how to donate, what the process is, and then they've got 3 stories here of people who use Containers for Change to donate to charity in what they're calling like a charitable drive. And I think if you look into these a little more, they're a bit less exciting than they might have you believe. So this first one here, we have Canine Dog Rescue. What a wonderful cause. You know, this Canine Rescue is a not-for-profit organization in Nambilup that has been caring for and rehoming dogs since 1990. Beautiful organization. However, if you click onto the further details and see what actually was raised, now this first charity drive they've got listed is actually pretty impressive. It says here from July of 2021 to July of 2022. So in a whole year, they collected more than 100,000 10-cent containers and donated $10,000 to help care for and rehome dogs. Now, I think that's a lovely message. I think that's a lovely achievement. I think it's good that they did that. But it does make me wonder if individuals had donated that amount of money, that $10,000, at what point could they have, you know, reaped the benefit of charitable donations? You can deduct that sort of stuff from your tax burden. And at the same time, how much has Containers for Change used this charitable donation for their own marketing and promotion rather than, you know, giving credit to the actual people who raised the money themselves? You know, they're trying to do this thing where it's like half credit, you know, half goes to the people who donated and half goes to Containers for Change, who did pretty much nothing other than receive the cans. But don't worry, folks, it gets better, because our next case study of Containers for Change charitable drive is the All Tracks 4-Wheel Drive Club. We love a good car club, folks. It's a lot of fun. But the more you read into it and the further down this article goes, you realize that the amount donated is actually a little bit underwhelming. You can see here, it's kind of buried. It says 1,460 containers is what was collected in this particular charitable drive. If you do the math on that, that's only $146. So we're not really like doling out cash over here. This is just a very, very modest charitable drive. And look, every bit that goes to charity counts. I just think that this company is artificially using a lot of these charitable drives that aren't really putting that much money towards charity as a little bit of promotion for themselves to say, look at how much charity we're facilitating, when really they're just enabling people to donate a couple pennies on the dollar to their local charity. And lastly, we have this story here about Shenton College. This is a local public high school. And once again, the amount that they donated was a modest $198, which is, you know, totally admirable and great for like a school drive. But again, is this the kind of charitable donations worth advertising on your website? And also, if you really cared about charity, could you not, as a organization, donate more than like a couple $100 and just put that on the front page of your charity website? I don't understand why this is here, other than, to me, the pretty obvious reason to just promote themselves as this great charitable entity. And I'm not trying to be against charity here, but I did do some researching. I found this article, Are Checkout Donations Greenwashing Supermarkets' Wasteful Practices? And I thought this is a pretty interesting article, and I was going to read it to you, but as we get down, we see this paywall. And yeah, I'm not, sorry folks, I'm going to walk right up to that paywall. I'm going to look at it, take out my wallet, put my wallet away, and then walk the heck away. Because sorry folks, we ain't paying for an article today. But I did find this article with a crazy amount of pop-ups basically saying that charity is in danger of donor fatigue as shoppers are pressured to give. Now, this is an interesting article that basically explains there was a US study about charitable donation drives at grocery stores and how consumers find them particularly anxious, anxiety-inducing. And there is even a line that says here, over time, these donations could translate to negative perception of retailers and less donations for charity. And part of this effect for retailers is specifically because these companies are for-profit corporations. And a lot of the time, when they ask you to round up your grocery shop and donate a little bit to charity, they're basically taking every little bit of extra charitable donation. And once that all adds up into a big charitable drive that Woolworths or Coles makes a donation to, they take that charitable donation and directly remove it from their tax burden. The burden of, you know, say $115 million that they have to pay their workers or should be paying, they take those those charitable donations and they use that to lower the burden they have to pay taxes and contribute to society. I want to be clear. I'm not necessarily accusing Containers for Change of acting this specific way with their charities. I don't know how much of their charitable donations they're removing from their tax burden or if they're deducting any of it. But what I can say for sure is that they're using it. They literally got an ad company to come up with it. They're using it as marketing tactics. They're using it to promote themselves in the name of charity, making people feel like they're giving back when really they're using it to increase revenue. And I think it's sad because a lot of people don't really think about it this way and they don't think about this stuff all the way through. Here's an article from the Urban List. Here's exactly how and where to return your 10-cent empties for a good cause. And I think a lot of people being involved with this drive are really well intentioned. I think people want to help. They want to give to charity. What I would say is if you want to do that, go ahead and get your 10-cent refund. Go away, donate a substantive amount of money to charity. Don't donate $20 or whatever that you get from the recycling center. Take that money, take it home, give a little bit more, whether it's $50, $100, and then deduct that from your taxes as is your legal right as a consumer. Don't let these companies or nonprofits or whatever else take away your opportunities to reduce your economic burden. And again, you can still give to charity while doing that. That's the whole point of making charitable donations tax deductible. And you can see here, even the government is getting behind it. Don't let the potential of your festive empties go to waste. Western Aussies can recycle 10-cent containers this festive seasons and our estimated $42 million in 10 cents refunds available. They're basically saying that's how many cans are in circulation or were put into circulation over the festive period. If all of them are recycled, that's how much money we can get back as a state. And I think that's great, but we can go back to the dump for this wrap up. You see, ultimately what I would say with this Empties Day drive is that I think if WARRRL really wanted to make a difference and really wanted to do something genuinely good for charity, what they should have done is pledge to donate the same amount of money to charity on January 29th that was raised by people coming to seek refunds. Just say on January 29th or 28th or whatever the hell, you come in, donate all your empties, and as much money as is raised by you, the hardworking individual consumer, that is how much we're going to match and donate it to charity. If they did that, I would have nothing wrong with this day. I wouldn't even be making this video. I would think it was an absolutely amazing initiative, but they've chosen to put the onus on you. They've chosen to ask you to basically participate in their ad campaign. I mean, they've partnered with Coles, who apparently has an extra $115 million pocketed away. I don't see why they couldn't have said, okay, all the containers donated on this day, we're going to exactly match that amount of money and we're going to donate it to charity. And you know what? If Coles wanted to do that and deduct that from their tax burden, I would have no problem. I just don't like when they ask you to take your charity, your potential tax deductions, your hard work, and give it all to them. Put it in their name. Let them take the economic burden off themselves. I don't like this pirateering of charity, and I don't think it's a good idea. And I think we should take stuff like this seriously. You know, we're being reminded that supermarket shoppers just really don't like the pressure and the anxiety of being asked to donate at their supermarket shop. And I think a similar thing goes when you're there trying to, you know, recycle containers. All you want is to do your bit, recycle, get your little refund, and then go about your day and use that extra $20 to, you know, buy a few beers down the pub or something. This is my ultimate rant about WARRRL and Containers for Change and Empties Day. I hope it made sense. I'm not trying to hate on recycling. I think recycling is great. And I even think that government-funded schemes to incentivize recycling are good. I just think when you do things like that, you need to have a little bit more oversight over what the nonprofit organizing that scheme is doing. Potentially even just nationalize that system. Why does it need to be a nonprofit? Why can't it just be a government organization? I don't know. I'm just a spectator. I like to talk about things. And today we've talked about something very fun and interesting. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've thought about something in a way you might not have thought about it before. And if you enjoyed, please go ahead and like and subscribe, follow for more. And yeah, keep on this channel because we're going to bring you some fun stuff in the new year and it's going to be a good old ride. So see you in the next one. Bye.